Hi guys, another book in our wonderful series for you. This is Rosie, Revere, Engineer. This is about a girl who loves to create and invent and try things out and build things like so many of you. So let's see how Rosie Revere is an engineer and see how you can be like her today. Rosie Revere, Engineer. This is the story of Rosie Revere, who dreamed of becoming a great engineer. In Lila Greer's classroom at Blue River Creek, young Rosie sat shyly, not daring to speak. But when no one saw her, she peeked in the trash for treasures to add to her engineer's stash. And late at night, Rosie rolled up her sleeves and built in her hideaway under the eaves. Recycling products that are cleaned and stuff that would go in the trash or the recycling normally that are cleaned are wonderful things to invent with. So check out your recycling box or think about things that are no longer used and see what you might do late at night. No, maybe not late at night, this afternoon, and see what you can invent. See what Rosie Revere does. Wow, look at her. Look at her space and her ideas. Wow, that's so cool. Alone in her attic, the moon high above, dear Rosie made gadgets and gizmos she loved. And when she grew sleepy, she hid her machines far under the bed, where they'd never be seen. When Rosie was young, she had not been so shy. She worked with her hair swooped over one eye. She made fine inventions for uncles and aunts, a hot dog dispenser and helium pants. The uncle she loved most was zookeeper Fred. She made him a hat to keep snakes off his head from parts of a fan and some cheddar cheese spray, which everyone knows keeps the pythons away. And when it was finished, young Rosie was proud. But Fred slapped his knees and he chuckled out loud. He laughed till he wheezed and his eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who stood there embarrassed, perplexed, dismayed. She looked at her cheese hat and then looked away. I love it, Fred hooted. Oh, truly I do. But Rosie knew that couldn't be true. So she stuck the cheese hat on the back of her shelf, and after that day, she kept her dreams to herself. And that's how it went till one autumn day, her oldest relation showed up for a stay. Her great-great-aunt Rose was a true dynamo who worked building airplanes a long time ago. She told Rosie tales of things she had done and goals she had checked off her list one by one. She gave a sad smile as she looked to the sky. The only thing left to do on my list is to fly. But time never lingers as long as it seems. I'll chalk that one up to an old lady's dreams. That night, as Rosie laid wide-eyed in bed, a daring idea crept into her head. Could she build a gizmo to help her aunt fly? She looked at the cheese hat and said, no, not I. But questions are tricky, and some hold on tight. And this one kept Rosie awake through the night. So when dawn approached and red streaks lit the sky, young Rosie knew just how to make her aunt fly. When you have a good idea, when you're thinking creatively, it's hard to let that go. You keep thinking and thinking and thinking about it. That's how Rosie is. That's what engineers often do. She worked and she worked till the day was half gone. She then hauled her cheese copter out to the lawn to give her invention a test just to see the ridiculous flop it might turn out to be. Strapped onto the cockpit, she flipped on the switch. The hella cheese copter sputtered and twitched. It floated a moment and then whirled round and round and froze for a heartbeat and crashed to the ground. So it worked for just a moment and then it crashed. And Rosie heard laughter, and she turned around to see the old woman laughing and slapping her knee. She laughed till she wheezed, and her eyes filled with tears, all to the horror of Rosie Revere, who thought, oh no, never, not ever again will I try to build something to sputter or spin, or build with a lever, a switch, or a gear, and never will I be a great engineer. She turned around to leave. Pay attention to this, because this is an important part. She turned around to leave, but then great Aunt Rose grabbed a hold of young Rosie and pulled her in close and hugged her and kissed her and started to cry. You did it! Hooray! It's the perfect first try. This great flop is over. It's time for the next. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that line because it's really important. This great flop is over. It's time for the next. She said it's the perfect first try. She didn't say it's perfect. It's the perfect first try. And it was a flop, which means it didn't work. So now it means that she gets to keep trying again. That's what you do too. That's what engineers do. They try, it doesn't work, or it works a little bit, and you got that first try over, and you get to try it again. You got that first great try over. Young Rosie was baffled, embarrassed, perplexed. But I failed, said dear Rosie. It's just made of trash. Didn't you see it? The cheese copter crashed. Yes, said her Aunt Rose. It crashed, that's true. But first, it did just what it needed to do. Before it crashed, Rosie, before that, it flew. Your brilliant first flop was a raging success. Come on, let's get busy and on to the next. She handed a notebook to Rosie Revere, who smiled at her aunt as it all became clear. Life might have its failures, and this was not it. The only true failure can come if you quit. I want to repeat that line again. That's really important. The only true failure can come if you quit. They worked till the sun sneaked away to its bed. Aunt Rose tied her headscarf around Rosie's head and sent her to sleep with a smile ear to ear. To dream of bold dreams of a great engineer. At Blue River Creek, all the kids in grade 2 built gizmos and gadgets and doohickeys too. Each perfect failure, they all stand and cheer, but none quite as proud as Rosie Revere. This reminds me of our class. Inventions and things that work and things that don't work and great mistakes that we make and jump up and try again from. Be like Rosie Revere today. So think about trying something, building it, and see if it works. And maybe it will for a second, and maybe it won't at all. But what you do is you don't give up, because you only fail if you give up and quit trying. But think about how could you improve it? How could you change it? What could you tweak and keep experimenting? So today, be like Rosie Revere, the engineer. Try to build some great invention and see how it goes. Bye, class. Happy inventing. Happy engineering.